So hello and welcome for post-summer long-awaited edition of MHQ's Foundation 101 webcast. We have been on a hiatus for some time, but we are back with a vengeance. And this is an exciting episode where I'm joined as usual by Kath Zagatti. Kath, how are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Yann.
So there was tons of new stuff that happened in the domestic structuring wealth planning space over the summer, and plenty of new initiatives. The launch of the Family Wealth Center in the DIFC, the introduction of simplified family office regulation, the so-called family arrangement regulation, and shortly to be introduced as well, an improved trust and improved foundation regulation. So really exciting times for whoever is looking at the jurisdiction for wealth management structures. But a significant milestone that has occurred since we last spoke was actually in practice, and that was the formal approval of a so-called DIFC Purpose Foundation, as it turns out, acting as a trustee of a trust. A little bit technical, but we'll dive into it in simple terms. It must be underlined here that the ADGM and RAC ICC are not far behind, because they have also allowed the incorporation of similar structure. So this is a good time to actually look into what that structure is, its benefits, and how it can be used in practice for willing families. So Kath, let's discuss Purpose Foundation. Let's start simply. What is a Purpose Foundation?
All right. So in simple words, a purpose foundation is a foundation created to fulfill a specific object other than managing assets to benefit beneficiaries, which is the main feature of a private foundation. So for instance, purpose foundations may be established to manage the assets of a trust as its corporate trustee, company or PTC, which is in turn acting as the corporate trustee of a trust.
Okay, so big picture, I understand. Walk me through some of the key differences between a private and a purpose foundation.
Sure. So there are two main differences between purpose and private foundations. The first one is that purpose foundations are established for a specific purpose that is not the management of assets for the benefit of the beneficiaries, as we just discussed.
Yep.
And second, because a purpose foundation doesn't manage assets to benefit specific individuals or classes of individuals, it doesn't need to appoint beneficiaries, whereas appointing a beneficiary is required for private foundations. And if we check the foundation laws, Yann, we will find that the DIFC and the RAC ICC define purpose foundations as foundations established for objects which are not exclusively charitable, whereas the ADGM doesn't have options of objects depending on the type of foundation, but it does require the charter to specify the purpose of the foundation if it has been established for a specific purpose.
Yeah, and we know from practice that this is possible in all three jurisdictions, but it's interesting that they all look at the same solution from slightly different angle. Clear. So landing maybe in terms of benefits, does a purpose foundation offer, I don't know, let's say increase the asset protection, something that many families are looking for in these slightly challenging times?
Yeah, it does. And this is because the Purpose Foundation will have no specified beneficiary. So no one will be able to claim that a particular person has a vested interest in the property or in the income of the foundation.
I see, clear. So I see the benefit, I see the small differences. So who can therefore use a Purpose Foundation as opposed to a standard private foundation?
Yeah. So basically, anyone who formed or is considering forming a trust in any jurisdiction can incorporate a purpose foundation to act as a corporate trustee, or to hold the shares of a PTC acting as the corporate trustee. And the decision-making process of a foundation acting as a trustee would involve the foundation council running the day-to-day management of this trust, always taking into consideration the wishes and the values of the family members. And the advantage of having foundations in this case is that the foundation council can be composed of family members with the family's trusted advisors as the family wishes.
Yeah, keep it in the family. We know plenty of clients love this. So we would not have done this little webcast to introduce a concept if we did not also introduce the first live cases to the market, which we did very happily a few weeks back. So would you mind talking to me about a few of these recent live cases?
Yeah, sure. So we incorporated several purpose foundations in the UAE. And as you said, more recently, we incorporated 2 milestone cases with the DIFC register. In the first case with the DIFC, we incorporated a foundation to act as the corporate trustee and hold the liquid assets of a DIFC trust. And this DIFC trust was formed to provide a flexible mechanism to remunerate the key employees of our clients' group of companies. So this foundation, acting as a corporate trustee, is responsible for overseeing, managing, and approving the release of funds to these particular key employees that were appointed as the trust beneficiaries.
I see.
Yeah, and this in the second case that we incorporated with the DIFC was to also act as corporate trustee with the specific purpose of addressing the needs of a sophisticated family for the effective management of the family wealth, which was held by a DIFC trust.
Very cool. And I think what this underlines is two things. Is one, we have in the UAE a toolbox that keeps on evolving and becoming more sophisticated to meet the requirements of local, regional, or international families that want to either apply best practice or replicate something they have abroad. So definitely we have here illustrated that this can now be done, and these are as sophisticated as they comes structures. The second thing is that the registry is willing to entertain change, and that is wonderful. You will see in a few weeks some new announcement on asset protection that will come. So if one has already looked into these structures but not yet acted, it's a perfect time to consider, do I need something that complex? Do I need a private foundation? Do I need a combination of both? We are here to advise. That was wonderful. Thank you, Kath Zagatti, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thanks.